Ooh, that looks tasty. Folks, today the Hungry Gamer is back with another crowdfunding preview, and today we're talking about Tales of Realms and Ruin, with design and art by Mikhail Iliev, and I do apologize if I mispronounced that name. Now what this game is it is a deck building area control game with a little bit of kind of RPG vibe to it. And in this game, you are doing your best to save the realms from the Otherworlders while at the same time being the one to save the realm from the Otherworlders. And this is a game for 2 or 3 players only. And as I said, you're going to do that through area control, action selection, and a little bit of leveling up your character. Now, if you are not interested in how this game is played, just want to jump into my final thoughts, then you want to go to the timestamp on the screen right now. For those of us still here. I also need to point out that this is still a game that's in the prototype phase and is subject to change. Now what's going to happen is you're going to play through the game and you're going to be putting out your various influence into the different realms as you are playing. And at the same time, you're also going to be putting out the outsiders' influence and power into the realms as well. And as you're going through, you are trying to do your best to be the one to have the most influence in all of the realms at the same time before the other worlders get too much influence in the realms, thus kind of damaging and destroying the realms, in which case, when that happens, you will flip the realm over and it changes up a lot of what's going on. And if at any time all 3 realms are flipped over, then the Otherworlders have won and all the players will lose. Now, with that being said, each player is going to, at the start of the game, choose one of the characters, and the characters correlate to the different colors on the board, but basically each character is going to get a player board, like so. And on that player board, they will also have their character card, like so, but what's important about the player board here is as you're playing, I'm going to talk about the different actions you can take, and one of the actions you can take is train. So as you do that, you will be adding cubes to these little abilities and this skill tree here. And as you fill these abilities up, you will be unlocking different abilities for your character. However, it's important to note that you're using the exact same cubes that you're using for your influence in the different realms, which means the more you level up, the less influence you have to exert on the realm. So it's a little bit of a balance that you're playing there. Now on your turn, you're going to be allowed to take 2 of the following actions. You can level up your character. As I mentioned, there's cost associated with that, but I'm not going to get into that. You can play a card, and each card that you have is going to do something a bit different. Like so, and you can see it tells you at the top what it does, and then at the bottom of some cards, it might have some kind of effect. For example, this effect here means you're going to take one Otherworlder cube, and you're going to place that on whatever realm you want to place it on. Or it might be something like this that has an event on the bottom, which means you will go to the event deck, and you'll draw one of these cards here, like so, and you have story. And as you can see, you have story and information about what's going on, and then it says go to page 18. Well, for that, you're going to go into the events book, and you'll turn to that specific event, and another player will read you what's going on, and you'll have various choices you might have to make. You'll have things that are going to be happening, and as you can see, there's a whole bunch of different events that are there, and that's where you're going to get most of the story of the game. The other thing you can do is you can use one of the 3 realms effect, and which realms you can use depends on where you have your presence and where your hero is and things like that. But the village realm will simply give you 3 coins. The magic realm allows you to draw 2 cards from your deck, and you're going to start the game with some cards, and you're going to be buying cards throughout the game, and I haven't talked about buying cards yet. While the castle realm allows you to switch 2 of these cost markers, like so. And the cost has to do with how it is that you buy more cards from the 3 different markets that are around the board. So by switching it up, I've moved this cost of 4 from the village over to the magic realm, which means if I want to buy one of these cards, it'll cost me 4 coins, as opposed to this one over here, which is lose 1 follower from the realm in which your hero is. So for example, that's a bad example here, there we go. If I was red, I would have to lose one of my followers, like so. And as you're playing through the game, you're going to be moving your hero around, which is going to allow you to buy different cards. You're going to be putting your influence out on the board, and you're going to be buying more of these cards, all in an effort to be the one to save the realm first. And the game's going to end if one player rules all three realms, which is they have the most influence in the realm, or if any of these different decks is completely depleted, and then depending on which deck is the one that ran out, then the win condition is going to change. If the village deck runs out, whoever has the most gold is going to be the winner. If the castle deck runs out, then the total number of your followers placed in all three of the realms, whoever has the most of those is going to win. And then if the magic deck runs out, whoever has the most number of cards in your hand, your deck, and your discard pile is going to be the one that's going to be the winner. And then, of course, as I said, if all three realms get flipped over, then everyone's going to automatically lose. Speaking of when the realms flip over, that's going to change what the different magic realms can do, and of course there are ways to flip it back over, and there's a little bit of a coopetition going on there. But for the most part, that's how this game is played. So what do I like about this game? The first thing is the art is wonderful. This is a very, very beautiful game, and that is the art on the cards, that's the art on the boards, both sides of the boards. It just is a stunningly beautiful game. The next thing I like is for a game that is primarily an area control game, even though you're using deck building and so on, but primarily as an area control game, it plays quite fast. It's not lightning speed fast, but it is a fast game, and there's not a lot of area control games that you're going to play in under 90 minutes, and this is one that you're going to play in under 90 minutes, possibly under an hour. The last game I played at 2 players, I actually played in about 45 minutes, so it is a fast area control game. The next thing that I particularly like are the way the events work. I like the story bits that go with it. I always like in games where someone else kind of reads it to you and you make a choice and something happens and the story can kind of build. I really like how that works. The little story beats are not too long but somewhat interesting. The way that they interact with the game, the mechanics is very thematic to whatever is going on. I like how some of the events kind of stay out there and you can keep interacting with them. Sometimes they don't. I think the events are very, very clever and they work really, really well and keep a game that is fairly simple. They make it pretty interesting with the way that it might change up the rules as you're going through. Along with that, I really like how you start out minorly asymmetric at the beginning of the game, but as you keep buying cards, you become more and more asymmetric as you go through the game, and I always like that. It allows for everyone to kind of start on equal footing, but really build up an engine however it is that they actually want to go, and I think that works quite well in this game. And the last thing I'll say is, I really enjoy the way the Otherworlders work as a weapon. Yes, you can lose the game completely. That is something that is possible, but I really like how you can use those play cards that are going to activate the Otherworlders as a weapon, as a way to say, no, 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 you don't get to control this area. No, 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 that's not going to happen. Or even just the threat of something which will make someone else around the table possibly do something differently. And I think it actually works quite well with this style of game, with the way you're able to utilize the Otherworlders kind of almost as a third party that's going to be a weapon for you. It reminds me in that sense of a game like Omicron Protocol, which is a completely different type of game, except for the way that you're using the third party, the neutral third party, to damage the other player at the same time. And I do think that works well in this game. So what are my quibbles with the game? The first one is, as with any game that has the storybook of events, you're going to start seeing repeats, and you're going to start remembering what it is that they are. Are you going to see all of them and memorize all of them? Of course not. You'd have to play the game, I don't know, 60, 70, 80 times. Most people don't play games that many times. But you are going to start running into them on occasion with multiple plays. And that is just part and parcel with this style of event in a game. The next thing I'll say is, the game says it plays 2 or 3. Really, no, it plays 3. I think you need to play this game at 3, to have 3 people in the 3 kingdoms, constantly pushing and shoving each other to make the game work the best. With that being said, when you have a game that is area control with 3 players, that means if your group is prone to this kind of thing, king making is a distinct possibility, and that's something you have to, well, keep an eye on and pay attention to, because it can absolutely happen, and I find that happens most often when you're playing area control games with 3 players. So something to keep an eye on, think about your group. The next thing I'll say is, it can feel a little bit slow early on in the game. When you just have your base cards, I find it feels like you're not really doing a lot that's interesting. It gets interesting when you start getting some of those other cards, when you start buying those, when you start moving around the cost. That's when the game really starts cooking. But it takes a little while for it to get there, and you might not be that patient. You might want to jump. You might be thinking this is a fast, maybe an hour-long game. I want to jump in and get going. there is a little bit of a buildup. So not necessarily good or bad, but just something that you should keep in mind. And the last thing I'll say is, this is a coopetition game, because it's very clearly only one of you can win, all of you can lose. And this isn't like a mission catastrophe type game where it just feels like, you're working together to not die and then someone's going to jump out first. It doesn't even feel like that. This is a straight up the whole time, competitive, and we're all going to have to work together so we all don't lose. Again, that's not necessarily good or bad, just something for you to keep in mind. Do you like coopetition games? Because this is very clearly a coopetition game. So there you have it, folks. That is Tales of Realms and Ruins. As always, if I made any mistakes in the rules overview, please let me know in the comments with the timestamp so I can get that in the Klingon subtitles. If you found this video useful, please like, subscribe, share, maybe become a channel member. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.